Okay, so now let's look at this essay on education versus entertainment in schools. Schools are the places that most people, delete of, will spend around 15 years of their life. And according to this fact, you would say, and due to this fact, my opinion is that educational institutions should be more attractive proposing activities. Okay, this is unclear here. Should be more attractive proposing activities in a way how to be a combination of learning and enjoying at the same time, being beneficial for students. Okay, the first part of the sentence is fine, but then it becomes very unclear. The main problem is overlong. You're trying to put too many things into one sentence, and also it's quite repetitive. You're unnecessarily repeating ideas. So you really need to shorten this sentence and be more concise. So let's see, let's have a go at that. So schools are the places that most people will spend around 15 years of their life, and due to this fact, my opinion is, so that's fine, educational institutions. Okay, now we're going to delete quite a lot here. So is that education institutions should have a combination of learning and enjoyment at the same time, and this would be beneficial for students. Okay, so we've deleted quite a bit because it was unnecessary. It was also overlong. And the other point is the very end of your sentence being beneficial for students. You haven't linked or connected, so you always need to have a connecting word. And this would be beneficial for students. Links in your ideas. Okay. This essay will discuss the reasons why traditional schools have a big impact on A, because you've got a singular here, so A, student's life, and uses as an example, so you're given one example, as an example, the system used in Finland, comma, which is considered the best way of teaching. Okay, the school purpose. Okay, you're not talking about particular schools, so I would say a schools, and you need an apostrophe here. A school's purpose is to pass on, not ahead, is to pass on information that will be useful in your daily life, and where the subjects learned will be put into practice. Okay, you could shorten that last bit as well. So a school's purpose is to pass on information that will be useful in your daily life and put into practice. I would just delete where the subjects, just delete that part. Okay, traditional ways of teaching in conventional schools where it evolves. Okay, I think you mean involves, where it involves a severe and delete a rigid routine, has become exhausting for students, comma, who allege that the content given is not absorbed in the way that it is supposed to be, causing an overwhelming, okay, not overwhelmed, an overwhelming and stressful environment that would be avoided for the majority point if it was put in question. The very end of your sentence absolutely does not make sense if it was put in question. So I don't actually know what you mean there. Okay, let's go back to the beginning here. So the first part is good. Traditional ways of teaching in conventional schools where it involves a severe and rigid routine has become exhausting for students, comma, that's fine, who allege that the content given is not absorbed in the way that it is supposed to be. Okay, what I would do here is have a full stop. Again, you're trying to put too many ideas into one sentence and being a little bit repetitive, so it becomes very unclear to the reader. So full stop here, okay? And then you can just say something, this causes an overwhelming and stressful environment that could be mostly avoided. Okay, so instead of for the majority part, delete that. That could be mostly avoided, and that even makes your sentence more concise by putting it together. Now, I don't know what you mean. I think you mean if it was thinking about it if it was put in question, I think if it was put in place is what you mean. Okay, which would make a lot more sense. Okay. So what I really want to say here is try to be more concise and try to avoid unnecessary repetition, and also keep your sentences shorter, okay, for the sake of clarity. Okay, an empirical study by the University of California, where approximately 2,000 students have been interviewed, has shown that 75% would consider changing. So after consider you have the gerund, so would consider changing current, not the currently, so current schools, you need an adjective, not an adverb, comma, if there was an option to balance studies with a practical and more entertaining way of teaching. Yes, that's fine. Okay, good. And when you give an example, it's also good to give a date as well, because they want specific examples. So this is a good example, but including a date would be helpful. As a consequence, schools are acquiring new techniques, and a slight change has been seen all around the world. Now that's a lovely sentence. That's nice and clear. Okay, and fine, it's good to end your paragraph like that. Okay, next paragraph. Schools which offer entertainment, delete the S, can have a crucial impact of reinforcement for learning. Okay, we need to change this part. Without the brainstorm that conventional activities usually have. Okay, so what we could say, schools which offer entertainment can reinforce learning without, now I don't know what you mean by brainstorm, it's not the correct word here. You may mean without the stress, the stress is that conventional, or the boredom, or the tedium that conventional classic activities can have, maybe not usually have. Okay, so the part you really need to change on that sentence is can have an crucial impact of reinforcement for learning. Okay, again, it's too long. Try and make your phrasing much more concise. Okay, when the fun and study are combined, it brings the desire to keep students motivates. Okay, we need to change that in getting more knowledge. Okay, so when the fun and when fun and study are combined, it helps motivate students to gain more knowledge. Okay, again, that makes your sentence more concise. You just need a main verb there. You didn't need bring the desire to keep. You've got 3 verbs in just that short part of a sentence. It's too many verbs together, and it actually makes the sentence much less clear. So you just needed one verb. Okay. When the fun and study are combined, it motivates students to gain more knowledge. Instead of getting, which is quite informal, try and keep your language formal. And we say to gain knowledge. That's the correct collocation. Okay. So it motivates students to gain more knowledge. For example, Finland is considered the best educational, you need an adjective, system in the world. And has, okay, you're talking about one country, and has decided to change the way, change the way schools should operate. Okay, now what I can see already, look how long this sentence is. It's clear, the beginning is very clear, and then from proposing a reform, blah blah blah, it's far too much information in one sentence, and I just lose the meaning of the sentence. So you'd have to, the best thing to do here is simply put a full stop and start a new sentence. Okay, so the first part is fine. For example, Finland is considered the best educational system in the world and has decided to change the way schools should operate. Full stop. That's more than enough information in one sentence. Okay. So, it, or Finland, proposes that classes should be combined. For example, if there is a geography, so that's PHY, geography class, the teacher, not from itself, so you could say from a geography class, the teacher from this class and history and biology would prepare, okay, delete the R at the end of prepare, would prepare a class comma, which would provide an overview of all the topics and put it in a practical way that would be useful in daily life. Okay, as you notice, I've completely deleted related to the same content because it's unnecessary and it's again repetitive. Okay, so what you really need to do there is make that into 2 sentences and make it more concise, okay, and avoid repetition. Okay, finally, to conclude, from the arguments and example given, I believe that Finland is a country to be followed by others, so delete the others, by others, and traditional schools should rethink what is better for students, delete the. It is predicted that we are heading to changes that would modify an entire system and the ways in which knowledge has been given. Okay, your conclusion is good, it's clear. Okay, so the positives here is you have provided a consistent argument, a very clear argument, and you have supported it and provided an example. Language-wise, the area to really be careful of, as I've already said, is avoid overlong sentences. Try to keep each sentence focused on one main idea. Okay. Also try and keep your phrasing a little bit more concise and avoid repeating and unnecessary repetition of words and ideas. Okay, but otherwise there are a lot of positives as well in this essay, so well done. Okay, so let's look at the second essay on reading and entertainment. Books and all literature that has been published so far have your considerable importance in our society. Okay, so I would say books and literature, not all, delete all, that has been published so far has has a considerable importance in our society, comma, but a combination of studies through books and activities, I would just say, but a combination of reading, just to make that more concise, a combination of reading and activities that involve, delete S, pleasure and fun, can develop better abilities and creativity in kids. So delete original ideas. This essay will present points and arguments as a support. Okay, so what you want to say, okay, this essay will present points and arguments to support this viewpoint and use the Rudolf Steiner School as an example of, delete how, as an example of the possibility of integrating, after the preposition, remember to use the gerund, so of integrating reading and fun in our educational, you need an adjective, educational system. Okay, you've provided a clear viewpoint there, but again, be more concise in your phrasing. Since schools, plural, have been created, the traditional learning way, I think I prefer method here, or the traditional learning method was, and still is to push books onto students and expect that all content should be assimilated in this way alone. Okay, instead of just by that, it just sounds more formal, in this way alone. Okay, now, not along the years, over the years, students have been claiming that, I would say students have claimed that, okay, now again we start to get unclear here because you're using too many words or too many verbs all together. So over the years students have claimed, so you don't need to say that the focus of learning a new subject. You can just say have claimed that learning a new subject. The focus of adds nothing to the meaning of the sentence, so it's unnecessary and actually hinders the sentence. So has claimed that learning a new subject. So let's try and follow this. Over the years, students have claimed that learning a new subject was hard to understand, or has even been lost due to the tedium. Okay, you need nouns here, due to the, because you've got the, you need a noun, not tedious and exhaustive for both adjectives. So due to the tedium and exhaustion that this activity brings, delete itself. Okay. Now research is uncountable, so delete A. Research by IDI Global Educational System has shown that 84% of pupils' parents in Transylvania stick, not sticky, so stick only to books as a help, okay, as a help to teach or helping, okay, but again repetition here, helping, so let's see what we could do. So 80% of your parents stick only to books to help teaching or homework, compared with the rest, so you need a T, that have been trying different and innovative, now you need an adjective, innovative ways to explore the topic and generate creative problem solving, full stop. Okay. Again, you need to make the sentence much more concise, avoid repetition. And the other thing I'm not quite clear about is you say compared with the rest. Who are the rest? It's not clear to me who you talk about this Transylvania, parents in Transylvania, compared with the rest. Do you mean the rest of the world? Or other schools? I don't actually know what you mean. So you need more clarity in that example. And a date would also be useful. Okay, next paragraph. The childhood, okay, delete the here. So childhood, I think you mean is considered. So you need a verb. Is considered one of the key factors in our life because it determines and represents our nature and tastes, comma, that if well explored by parents and teachers could transform a child's passion, and so you need to link your ideas, and determine a future career. Okay, full stop. Having activities that bring joy and lesson. Do you mean in lessons? Or you could say having activities that bring joy during lessons. Was proposed by Rudolf Steiner, comma, who invented the Steiner education, comma, which brings together science, art and spirituality. That's fine. In this institution, children will explore and interact with different ideas and scenes, bringing better skills and original ways to face problems. Okay, that's okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. Last paragraph. So to conclude from supports and examples, I think you mean arguments. So to conclude from the arguments and examples given, I firmly believe that a balance between reading books and doing activities with a child will improve their life and bring delete up, bring inspiration and motivation to many, to many circumstances that they face every day. Okay, you need a subject there at the end. Okay, fine. Okay, you have answered the question. You provided a clear argument, and that's good. And you've also given an example. As I said, a date would be good in your example. And also, you needed to clarify the comparison. So at some point, the example was not clear. But overall, in terms of language, I would say you have to be more concise. You have to avoid repetition. You have to avoid using too many verbs in one sentence, especially when there are unnecessary ones. And also be careful of the difference between adjectives and nouns. And another area to watch are articles, the use of a and the. These are all important because the marking criteria for IELTS does include grammar, and it does include lexical range, and it certainly includes cohesion and coherence. Those over long sentences are actually affecting cohesion at points in your writing, so do be careful of that. Okay, overall a good effort.